everybody, Cheyenne with Wise Out Apothecary. Thanks so much for joining me here today in my home office. I, like you, have been, hopefully like you, have been social distancing. So I've been working from home instead of going into the cafe and things like that where I normally like to write. There's something about having all the background noise that makes it a lot easier for me to focus, but I've been managing, so here we are. Now, as you may know, I have not been able to find any wild asparagus spears growing currently. I've checked all of my usual spots repeatedly, but haven't been able to find anything yet, so I can't show you out in field what it looks like. But I did get a little bit crafty and find a good grocery store asparagus spear to show you. And then using some of the pictures available online or in the Herb of the Month Club posts that I do in the free group and in the paid members group, you should be able to find what this will look like as a grown-up. So this is really what pops up out of the ground in early spring is this little guy. And there are a few kind of key identifying features for it. So one of the things is that as the spear comes up out of the ground, they have these little triangle bracts on there, which are actually, if we go up the stem a little bit, I'll show you as best as I can, which is where the leaves start to bud underneath. So you can just kind of see that right there. And then it comes up into here where the leaves are getting a little bit bigger, and then up into here where the leaves are getting even bigger. So those leaves actually help propel this plant to grow often heights of about 6 feet tall. So they're quite tall once they're full grown, and they branch out into much multi-branching feathery sort of foliage that is quite fern-like to a lot of people. It's very soft. The full mature plants also, the females, or the hermaphrodite plants, they tend to grow some berries that start out green and go more towards red or an orangish red color. And as appetizing as they can look to some, they are definitely toxic, so don't eat them. But yeah, so that is an identifying feature of it. Now, learning to identify it by its skeleton and by the dead plant matter of last year is really important, because these guys come up really early in the springtime. So if you don't know what the old plant looks like, you probably will miss them, because these guys come up through the debris on the ground. So logs, grasses, sometimes even ice and snow, different things like that, and leaves, so it can be hard to see. So finding the big, tall, broken, dead version of last year's plant is ideal. Then once you find that, you just kind of follow the stem all the way to the bottom, and right near the bottom should be little asparagus stems poking up. So anything bigger than a pencil in thickness can technically be harvested, and you don't want them to be much thicker than like index finger. Some people say thumb. You know, you don't want it to be too big or else it's going to be quite woody, which isn't very appetizing. But yeah, these are something that you can harvest a lot of, eat it fresh, eat it cooked, steamed, roasted. I love it in raw salads and things like that. It's really delicious. So yeah, it's quite flexible. Now, some people don't realize that if you pick every single one of your asparagus that are popping up, whether it's home cultivated or in the wild, you either can or will kill the crown of the plant. Because you need to let at least a few of the plants go and run their natural course and, you know, grow up into the big feathery selves and die off and decay like normal, because the greenery is what collects the energy for the crown to survive, and they can live a long, long time, sometimes 20 plus years, if they're taken care of and they have the right growing conditions. Speaking of growing conditions, they really love full sun or close to it. They love to be in the spotlight. They don't like to share very much. So that is something to consider if you want to find it or plant it. Drainage is very important, because while asparagus do love lots of water, they don't like to have their feet wet. They like to have the option of getting their feet wet if they so choose. So it is something, a place, you know, you can find it. So it might be near a water source, like a lake edge, different swamps, bogs, marshes, things like that. But it's not going to be growing directly in the water generally. So you could find it close-ish, but not too close. You'll often find them growing alongside dock plants. What's it called? Hemlocks, like water hemlock. Which is very, very, very poisonous, deadly poisonous. And it can also grow alongside a lot of other plants like willows and dogwoods and different things like that. So one of my favorite patches grows literally on the north side of a cottonwood tree. So it doesn't get the most sun, but it does get quite a bit at key times in the day. So seems to be thriving and happy there, except not coming up when I need it to for filming. So yeah, basically everyone knows it as a food, and it is a really good food. There are some sulfur-like components in it that do change the smell or the perception of the smell of your urine in some people. So some people don't notice, some people notice and hate it, some people notice and think it's funny and don't really care. It's not harmful to you, so it's not something that I worry about at all, but I am someone that does notice the change in the smell, and so it's not like the most appetizing thing ever to think about that, but the nutrients in here way outweigh that little flaw. So asparagus is considered to be very nutritious, a superfood. It has high amounts of nutrients with very low calories. Now, I'm not one to care about calories, especially in vegetables and fresh natural foods, but if you are, that's okay, and just know that these are low in calories. So it does tend to help burn more carbohydrates. Look at me touching my face when I'm not supposed to, see? Out of all the stupid things I've done in my life, if I die because I touched my face, it's not going to be, I'm not going to be happy about it. Anyways, so yeah, basically it's a super nutritious, super good ally companion to know how to find and know when to eat. The green variety is the exact same variety as white, except that white is grown in darkness, so it doesn't have a chance to fill up with chlorophyll. It is a very similar species to purple asparagus, though purple asparagus has basically different pigments in there to make it more purple. But those sort of pigments are also have their own health benefits. So it's some would say a little bit more medicinal version of asparagus. Asparagus tea and things like that, which is literally just chopped up, put into a cup of hot water and brewed like you would a normal cup of tea. That's really good for urine and bladder and kidney related issues. Yeah, it's very, some would say it's very good for after a hangover as well, to help get rid of one. My guess is that it's just flushing the system well and kind of replenishing some of the vitamins and nutrients you might have lost. But yeah, normally it is something that is generally used as a diuretic. So if you're on any medications that are not supposed to be taken with a diuretic, it's important to talk to your doctor if you're going to be trying to do something like that. Anyways, Let me know if you have any questions about asparagus. I will try and do another video as soon as they are up out of the snow, just to show you in field what they look like. But I did my best for now with the resources I have, which is what I encourage everyone to do in trying to explore some of the plants that we learn about in the Herb of the Month Club. Just do your best. Don't pressure yourself. Don't try and be the person that knows every single plant out there. That doesn't happen and it doesn't work. And it's quite beautiful when we build kind of a mosaic of knowledge where one person knows a lot about a certain set of plants and another person knows a lot about a different set of plants, and they merge together and they both can tell us all so much more information. And that's how it should be. Yeah, anyway, so drop a comment below. Feel free to follow us to stay in the loop. If you want to purchase a paid membership, it's pay what you can. And it ranges from $5 to $30 a month, depending on what your budget is and how much you want to invest in it. All the money goes directly to operating all this stuff, including web hosting, my time, you know, fuel and mileage for going out into the field to film and things like that. So it all comes together, and the more I can earn, the more I can get out into the community and do more as well. So kind of what goes around comes around. So anyways, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have a great day and that you stay healthy and can find ways to explore.